The missing reason kangaroo. Have you ever heard of that? It's a thing, I can explain it. But first, do you need a minute? Do you need a break from all of this today? Do you need to decompress? Well, my gift to you is a free guided meditation so you can take a pause. Hit the link in the description below. This is a true story about a narcissistic parent who believed her daughter was missing a reason. Let's meet Jill's mother. Jill's mother. She was a strong woman. She had survived 2 world wars and 7 children. She did not have time for nonsense, and there was no room for feelings in her house. In fact, emotions was something she used to manipulate her kids, which was why Jill learned early on to keep hers hidden. Jill's father died when she was only 6 years old, and soon after, her mother remarried one of her dad's military buddies. The new dad was a gruff man with a gruff voice. He drank a lot, and he would yell at Jill for being slow or stupid or dirty. And although he never laid a hand on her, Jill knew that she had to walk on eggshells around him because if she didn't, he would blow. So Jill started keeping her head down, hoping to avoid his rage. This was a terrible strategy since it reinforced the idea that she was defective. And unfortunately, her mother and stepfather agreed. They would say things like, "What's gotten into you? Why are you always daydreaming?" They also told her that having feelings was a sign of weakness. So instead of giving her the tools to manage her emotions, they taught her to ignore them. Of course, this was very confusing for young Jill. But instead of helping her work through these issues, her mom told her that she was missing a reason, a part of her brain that made her emotional. Then she said, "I can tell you what's wrong with you. You're not normal. You have mommy issues. You think too much." And then she'd laugh. "You'll always be a problem child, though. You just need to try harder." Well, Jill tried harder, but she was never good enough. And every time she asked her mother for help, she'd hear the same mocking laughter. So as a teenager, Jill started cutting out the part of herself that she thought was broken, the part that felt. She buried her emotions deep inside until she became numb. Now, skipping ahead to present day, Jill is a successful business executive. She has everything she could ever want, including a loving husband and 2 beautiful children. But despite all of this, she is miserable. She feels empty inside and struggles to connect with others. She is also terrified that she will pass down her mother's toxic behavior to her kids. So she reaches out to a therapist to learn how to stop the cycle of narcissism in her family. But when she shares her story, the therapist says, "Wait a minute, your mother thought you were missing a reason. That's not normal, right?" So Jill's therapist helps her dig deeper to understand where these thoughts come from and what they mean. Together they unpack the trauma of Jill's past and recognize that her mother's words were not true. In fact, Jill's mother was the one who was missing a reason. Jill's mother was the one who was missing empathy. She was unable to see things from Jill's perspective. She never asked herself, how does this feel to her? Or what would make this situation better for her? Instead, she wielded Jill's own humanity against her, calling her weak and defective. She shattered her self-esteem and convinced her that feelings were a bad thing. But the truth was that Jill's mother struggled to connect with her feelings herself. When she called Jill broken, it was really herself that she was rejecting. And here's the other thing. Jill's mother was missing accountability. She refused to acknowledge her role in hurting Jill and instead projected it back onto her. She chose to blame Jill for being too sensitive instead of owning up to her own toxic behavior. She wanted to be right and have her daughter submit to her worldview, instead of considering that maybe she was wrong and her daughter knew something she didn't know. Finally, Jill's mother was missing kindness. She failed to consider the impact of her words and actions on those around her. She treated Jill like an inconvenience, rather than a human being with real feelings and needs. But in doing so, she missed out on the opportunity to teach Jill valuable lessons and help her navigate the world in a healthy way. By unpacking all of this with her therapist, Jill realized that her mother's toxicity was actually a reflection of her own inability to connect with herself and others. Jill decided to break free from the cycle of narcissism. She started setting boundaries with people who treated her poorly, including her own mother. She also began practicing self-compassion and acceptance, recognizing that she deserved love and kindness, even if her mother couldn't give it to her. It wasn't easy at first, but over time, Jill's life began to transform. She became more confident in her own sense of identity and started making positive changes in her relationships. She even found a new sense of purpose in helping other survivors of narcissistic abuse heal and grow. So while Jill's mother may have been missing a reason, Jill knew that she didn't have to follow in her footsteps. By facing her past head-on and embracing her true self, she was able to create a future full of hope and possibility. But wait, before we go, let's check in with Joey. How's Joey doing? Well, Joey is thriving. Joey has found a new pouch to call home, and a new Mama Kangaroo to love her. Mama Kangaroo is warm and kind and patient and loving. She lets Joey snuggle as long as she wants and tells her that her feelings are valid. She believes in Joey and cheers her on when she takes her first hops, or when she finally gets to see over the tall grass. As for Jill's mother, well, she never got the help she needed. She never learned to listen to Jill or validate her feelings. In fact, she continued to mock Jill even as she got older. But Jill knew that her mother's behavior was really a reflection of her own inner turmoil, and she refused to let her mother's negativity bring her down. Instead, she focused on building a happy and fulfilling life for herself and her family. knowing that her mother's approval was not necessary for her to be successful. And that's the end of the story. Thank you for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment, and share with a friend. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an upload. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.